Hello there, I'm Steve from Mac84, and today we're going to be taking a trip down to Hunt Valley, Maryland, to the System Source Swap Meet and Computer Museum. This took place on July 3rd, 2023, and I'll put links down below to the VCF and System Source websites so you can learn more about upcoming events. It was about a 3-hour drive for me from New Jersey, which meant I had to leave before 5 a.m. to get there at 8 a.m., which was when the Swap Meet opened. I've always wanted to visit the System Source Computer Museum, so the Swap Meet gave me the perfect excuse to make the trip. The museum was simply amazing, but we'll be checking that out in a little bit. First, we'll check out the Swap Meet. This was just about at 8 a.m. when it opened. Some people were still getting settled, but there was plenty on display already. This area was much smaller compared to the VCF East Swap Meets I'm used to, however that didn't mean there weren't treasures to be had. I'll be quiet for a bit so you could take in the atmosphere of the event.
How's it going?
Hey! Before the madness begins.
I'm still using their O2s occasionally. They're really great because you can hook up the serial port, image a drive over to them, and then... No, it doesn't. Yeah, trying to...
Paul had a lot of great stuff on display, including these two free StyleWriter 2 printers, and a very sad Macintosh Quadra 950 logic board that needed some repair. I felt sorry for it, so I did end up picking that up. He was also selling a Mac 2CX for $100 and a Quadra 660 AV for $50.
Actually, it's funny, in the free pile, there is a Mac 2CX empty box.
Oh! That's right, he just said there was a Mac 2CX empty box. I already have the computer, but the box would be neat. So let's take a look at the rest of the wares here as we walk towards that free pile. I know I'm zooming by some of these tables a bit quickly, but I will come back to them. I was just trying to understand what was available, so I didn't miss out on anything. My friend Ryan had this table filled with a bunch of Apple stuff and some other PC compatible things. This was quite a packed table, and a lot of those machines went within an hour or so. And now here we go, the free pile. Oh, look at that Macintosh 2CX box. Yoink! Next to it was this Apple SCSI CD drive. I've been looking for one of these for ages. Unfortunately, the CD was replaced with a hard drive, but I grabbed it anyway. I quickly dropped those off in the car and returned to the pile to see what else there was. There was some documentation, software, this parallel CD drive, and then there was this laser writer. This was a model 4600PS, and I had a similar model at home, so I wasn't looking to pick this one up. It looks like it could use some love, but unfortunately I have way too many laser writers at home already. But inside of this free pile box was a bunch of goodies. There were these bezels for like the 8100, 8500, Quadra 840 AV, so I took those. This box had a Seagate hard drive adapter. I actually have the drive that goes to this adapter, so I picked that up. There was a Farallon EtherMac print adapter and some cables, including a PowerBook G4 or iBook G4 power cable. There was also this Airport Express, which I thought was neat, but I didn't need it, although I could use this iPad charger, or at least half of it, so I ended up picking that up. After I finished rummaging through the free pile, I took another walk through all of the vendors, and there was quite a large selection of different types of items on display. Thankfully, the weather was cooperating, so a lot of people took the opportunity to come out on a sunny weekend to display things that they had for sale. These events always have such a friendly atmosphere. I'm always bumping into people I've known and met from different events, so that's always fun to see what they're looking at and what they've picked up. And I usually keep my eyes open for things that maybe my friends are interested in too. For example, that individual had some Texas Instruments stuff, and even though that's not really what I'm into, but I let my friend know about it just in case. Walking past the free pile again, we see that it has gained a very sad CRT monitor. But I think that did find a home by the end of the day. This table had quite a few cool things, including 2 Alpha Smart word processors and a bunch of different types of memory. The second to last table here was run by my friends Ian and Thomas, and oh boy do they have a lot of tempting goodies here. Thomas ended up selling me these 2 Apple Developer Connection Kits. These were physical kits that included a bunch of discs inside for select Apple developers. These discs include the latest versions of macOS 10, a bunch of developer tutorials, seminars, documentation, and tons more. Although a lot of this stuff is probably already archived online, it's cool to have this in a physical form, and enjoy all of the CD covers and the discs and everything like that presented as it was to a developer back in the day. This table at the end had a lot of cool old radio and analog stuff. I didn't understand much of it, but it was really fun to look at. And then I bumped into my friend Chris here from the Retro Tech Chris YouTube channel, and he picked up some cool stuff. What'd you pick up today?
I picked up a cash and controller card, a Promise 4030 VL card.
So how much money does it spit out?
How much money does it spit out? Not enough, but I paid $20 for it, and usually they're a little more than that. So
excellent!
I was happy to pick that up.
Good find.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-oh. Interest you in yet further Apple developer DVDs.
Oh no. This is what I have to deal with here.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
Yeah, Thomas had more developer DVDs, which I gladly picked up. These were much earlier than the previous sets that I found, and the discs inside were really cool too. It seemed like this person had a Power Mac G5 as well, because the documentation and the restore discs were also in this box. But the most exciting disc that I found inside of this box was a macOS X Tiger developer preview disc. I've always loved the cover of this disc, which was not on retail models, so I'm very glad to add this to my collection. And of course, because it was a swap meet, you're going to run into a bunch of geeky friends, so there was no shortage of that happening, which is always amazing. Daniel had a few Macs for sale, including this Power Computing PowerCenter Pro 180 model. He also had a Power Mac 6100 DOS compatible system. The DOS card was long gone, and the system wasn't working. It would sometimes boot, but then freeze. A closer inspection revealed that the pins on the processor were bent. I did end up picking it up for $20 to see if I could save the poor thing, and after all, the case was in pretty good shape. Looking back at the free pile, and we see a familiar sight, Chris rummaging through for some goodies.
Found this, not for me, but I think that maybe Justin would like it. It's just a little video decoder card.
Yeah, just put it in the back of his pocket. You want it?
Yeah, exactly.
My friend Chris is more into the PC side of things and has a good eye for that stuff. He did a walkthrough video of the swap meet as well and took longer pauses at the tables than I did, so be sure to check out his video. I'll link it below. I stumbled upon this beautiful pile of iOmega Bernoulli items. It's not every day you see a huge collection like this. They had 4 different types of drives, 2 controller cards, a bunch of different types of discs. It was just really neat to see some of this stuff. Just look at the size of that 10 megabyte cartridge. It was also cool to see these discs with their sleeves and some of the documentation and cables that go with these units as well. I ended up picking up a handful of 44 megabyte discs for my Bernoulli drive at home.
We've got a famous Mac 84 here. Thank you. There he is.
I am not taking home all the Bernoulli stuff.
False accusation. Somebody's going to want the Bernoulli stuff, I think. Wow, that's really nice.
So let's take one more pass at the vendors outside, and then we'll head indoors to the museum.
I just want to know, I'm not buying it. He's going to go ask the person who's selling questions.
I mean, I'll find the place for it eventually, but I just have it sitting on a little, on a board, you know, it's just like, here it is. What are you doing with it?
So that is this is effectively it's Turbo XT. It's a
They may actually have some super fun.
I've had a Spark 5, like an Ultra 5, used as a web server.
There's actually, you know, one that I took from down there that we have to do. Yeah. So that's a common. I'll be posting on my Twitter. I'm like, that punk plus only a piece of
how much do you want to give me? How much do I want to give you? $10? I'm motivated.
I love going to these events because you never know what you're going to find, and even if you're not interested in buying something, it's cool learning about different systems and different variations of things that you may not have known existed. Just as I was about to head into the museum, another car pulled up with some awesome stuff. This was taken a little bit after some of the things had sold, but they had this next station here with the monitor and the keyboard and the mouse. They said the CRT was a little tired, which makes sense because it's always on when these systems are running. But interestingly over here were some Apple II clones. I've never seen an Apple II clone in person before, so that was really neat to see. I believe this was an Apple II Plus clone. Thanks to my friend Mike for identifying it. They also had another Apple II Plus clone, which a friend of mine ended up picking up. But it's interesting because this keyboard was different. It had a dedicated number pad, and inside it said Made in Japan. So that was pretty neat. By this point I had just about my fill of the sun, so I was ready to go inside and experience the System Source Computer Museum. It was my first time at this museum, and I was simply blown away. They had pretty much one of everything, and it was overwhelming to just like walk around and be like, oh, I've seen that, oh, I've heard of that, and so I'll definitely have to come back for another visit. The museum also features a lot of consumer electronics like multimedia and video related items, video game consoles, and a lot of telecommunication stuff as well. I took a detour to my car to grab something, and I ran into David. David's a fellow Macintosh enthusiast and a fan of the channel. David was looking to sell some Macs, including this lovely Super Mac Macintosh clone, which I gladly purchased from him. And speaking of Mac clone stuff, my friend Justin sold me these UMac speakers, which I think will go great with that Mac clone. Back inside, I ran into another fan of the channel, Randy. We spent some time talking about some old systems and software. It was a lot of fun. Bob, one of the founders of the museum, has encyclopedic knowledge of pretty much everything inside of the museum, so it was great to talk to him about some of the items on display and join him for a guided tour. I could have easily spent a few more hours at the museum exploring all the different things on display, but it was getting late and I had a long drive home ahead of me. On the way home, I did stop by Greg of MacYac to drop off his Texas Instruments computer that I picked up for him. Visiting the System Source Computer Museum was a truly magical experience. If you're into computers or electronics, I highly recommend checking it out. Check out the links in the video description to learn where the museum is and what their operating hours are, as well as when they will have future swap meets. Again, thank you so much to everybody that I met on Saturday. It was a pleasure talking to everybody, and it was so much fun just geeking out about these old computers. Thank you so much to all the museum staff who helped me out when I had questions, and I look forward to visiting again sometime soon. And if you're interested in things I pick up from swap meets and future visits to computer museums, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll catch you right here next time on Mac 84.